Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. Calvin, you're back, dude. You had an awesome trip in Michigan. I'm sure everyone here wants to hear all about it, but we're here. It's Tuesday. We're ready to talk Kings basketball a little bit. So welcome in, Calvin. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's good to be back. I'm glad to be back. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that sat in for me while I was gone. Of course, our good friend Ethan Shortridge, Skip, Sacktown Pete, all you guys were incredible. Thank you so much for allowing me to take a little time to myself and have fun.
Awesome, awesome. Shout out to everybody that's watching as well and everybody in the chat. JN and Brian, what is up? Sorry we were a few minutes late today. We did have some technical issues. And Sean, welcome. Thank you guys for joining in, and we're back. If the audio sounds okay, smash up that like button. Smash up that like button and let us know. And of course, as always, if you're a Kings fan, smash up that subscribe button. Calvin and I will be live post-game this entire season, so we'd love to celebrate the Kings making the playoffs with you guys. So we have a busy schedule today. Hold on, I'm going to crack open a beer here. Oh man, I'm drinking Waikiki beer. Calvin, you got a beer in front of you today?
No beer. It's time for me to take a little break. As you can imagine, tailgating. I went to a wedding. I've had a good amount of fun over the past couple of weeks, so I'm taking a little pause.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it. I actually traveled to the other side of the island today and delivered some beer. So they paid me in beer, so I'm enjoying my paycheck right now, and it's quite delicious. But hey, we got some stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about DJ Stewart. We're going to talk about some offensive and defensive schemes for the Sacramento Kings. We're going to give our thoughts on the biggest surprise for the Kings this upcoming season, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule as well. Shout out to Alfie, man. I see you here in the chat. What is up? And thank you for joining us. So Calvin, let's go ahead here and just dive right into what's going on. Let's talk about this DJ Stewart news, because I know you had you got some mixed messages. So I want to hear from you. What's going on with DJ Stewart?
Well, I'd like to say that I knew the real answer, but I'm not really sure at this point, to be honest with you. DJ Stewart was signed by the Kings.
Stewart.
It seems pretty obvious of that, but if you look at James Ham on Twitter earlier today, he had some interesting tweets about that situation. I'm trying to find the most the earliest one. Hold on one second.
Stewart, my bad.
He tweets a lot.
The D sounds like a D, not a T.
Yeah, right. Okay, let me see here.
Brian, what are you drinking? Alfie, man, I see you guys got some beers there in the chat. I want to hear from you guys what you're drinking.
These two tweets here earlier today from James Ham. According to a league source, the Kings have officially waived DJ Stewart. And then right after that, if he is not signed to another NBA team, the hope is that he will remain in the Kings program and join the Stockton Kings, who still own his G League rights. So I guess the answer is that they did sign him, but not officially to a final roster spot. I mean, there is still obviously wiggle room. From here to the start of training camp, teams are going to be tinkering around trying to fit in the final pieces. And of course, even by the time you get to training camp, whoever's on the roster might not be on the roster to start opening day, right? So there's definitely still going to be some fluctuation here. I don't think that whether or not DJ Stewart, and I apologize to him in advance for saying this, but I don't think whether or not he's on the roster is going to change too much about how the Kings perform this year. But it is a roster
Calvin.
spot nonetheless, right?
That's a bold take. So you're saying a former Duke guard that has never played in the NBA before is not going to have much an impact on the Sacramento Kings. Is that correct?
That is my personal opinion. He could have a big impact on the Stockton Kings if he does play with them this year, but I don't anticipate him playing many minutes in Sacramento this season.
Yeah, DJ Stewart,
whether he's on the roster or
prove
not.
Prove us wrong, right? That's what we want. Prove us wrong. We want you to win Most Improved Player, which is that even possible? Can you win Most Improved Player in your first season?
If you've never played in the NBA before? No, I think they call that Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so kind of mediocre news if you're the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, we're in September here. Training camp's not opening for a couple more weeks. We're kind of in this lull right now where we're trying to figure out what happens, right? We were all talking about Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, he's traded. Now we're talking about DJ Stewart and some of these other guys that are filling up these random roster spots. I think I noticed in a tweet by James Ham, he said something about 20 players coming to camp. Is that the cap, Calvin?
That's a good question, Barry. I actually don't know what the official cap is for a number of guys that you can have in camp. And I'm not sure if there's any blend or crossover between the G League affiliate. I assume that there is, but I don't know how that changes the number either. So I know you have to get it down to 17 eventually, right? So
he says in a tweet here by James Ham, he says the Kings are still under the 20 roster spot limit and can make additions and subtractions. Final 20 will come before start of training camp. So maybe he is one of these 20 guys. Maybe they will add another player or two. 20 seems like a lot for a training camp, doesn't it?
It does, but I mean, nowadays you have the additional roster spots thanks to COVID. You have the G League, the two-way players, all that stuff. So it's not too surprising to me to see that the number has gotten to 20. Okay.
So we're on a consensus here. DJ Stewart with a D, not a T, my bad, is not going to have much of an impact on the Kings, although we would hope that he would have a huge impact, right? Like we want all these players to have a phenomenal impact on the team, but it seems like he is another addition, another guy to put pressure on these players, right? We saw Dellavedova added after we thought that he was nixed and not allowed, but this seems to be more pressure on the point guard position, on guys fighting for maybe that final third string point guard spot in the Kings roster. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Calvin, do you have a favorite right now? Is it Cook? Is it Dellavedova? Stewart? Maybe? Long shot?
I would have to guess it's Dellavedova, and my only reasoning or logic for that would be it wouldn't necessarily make much sense to sign this guy if you didn't have hopes for him being on your roster, right? Like, he's not a G League player. It doesn't help the Kings in any way, shape, or form to make him a two-way player and have him play in Stockton for most of the season. Quinn Cook, that's where he was last year, so he has some familiarity with that. He's an older guy. I'm not saying that would be my official pick, if I was coaching the team. But it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to sign somebody like Dellavedova if you don't have hopes that he's going to be on your roster as a veteran presence with these younger guards to help kind of coach them up through the entire season. So that is my guess at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I like Dellavedova a lot. I love the hustle. I love the defense. I think he's a little bit older, but I think I agree with Sean here in the chat. I like Cook. I think the Kings need more spacing on the floor. I love Cook. The dude is an NBA champion. I know Dellavedova, didn't he win a championship with LeBron James?
Yes, I
in
believe
Cleveland. So I guess but I think Cook's maybe got 2 or 3 at this point. But I like Cook a lot. I love his ability to space the floor. But yeah, it is a battle for a third roster spot. So we will see what ends up happening here. Calvin, let's go ahead here and dive into the roster. if you look at ESPN.com, they agree with you, dude. Dellavedova is the third string point guard at this point. My question for you and to all the Kings fans out there, so if you guys are listening, let us know in the chat. Also, shout out to Alfie Man. Grew up in Stockton. I spent a lot of time in Lodi as a child. That's where my dad lived, so a lot of time in Lodi. But I want to hear from you, Calvin. Let's talk about offensive and defensive schemes, because you look at this roster here, you got a lot of speed. They've added some shooting. I think they've added a little bit of defense here. But I just want to hear from you. If you're Coach Brown and you're coming in day one, what kind of offensive schemes and defensive schemes does this roster need to succeed? Because, we all talk about the triangle offense and all these different types of offenses and defenses, but what tailors to these players, in your opinion?
Well, most importantly, I would say that they've got to keep it simple. Obviously, you're going to have sets, you're going to have plays, specific things that you're going to want to run depending on the situation, the personnel on the floor, first team, second team, stuff like that. And that stuff, I can't really come up with a solid answer for what that would be. However, I think the overall offensive scheme is pretty obvious, right? They went out and they got shooters and floor spacers because they wanted to keep the middle of the floor open so they could run this two-man game with Sabonis and Fox, who excel in those roles, and then they have nothing but shooters around them. So you're going to force the defense to collapse. Somebody is going to be open, whether it's Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes. You can't cover all of these guys, especially with someone like Darren Fox going to the basket. That's going to be option number one, obviously, right? Or hitting Sabonis, who is a phenomenal passer as well and can also find these guys on the three-point line. So I think everything that the Kings do this season offensively is going to be surrounding that type of play, because when you come in off the bench, you can still basically do the same thing. If it's going to be Rashawn Holmes and Davion Mitchell off the bench, there's your pick and roll combo. And then you have shooters like Malik Monk, these other guys, whether Keegan Murray is a starter or not, or he plays a lot of minutes with the second team, you're going to have those same types of opportunities to get good, open three-point looks. Defensively, this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because the Kings have been so bad defensively for a long time. They need to get better.
Can I stop you real quick, Calvin?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a lot to unpack defensively, right? So I figure let's handle offensively first.
Sure.
I see Phoenix here is talking about drop defense and offensive scheme and stuff like that. And I kind of want to touch on your point. So De'Aaron Fox driving to the basket, kicking out to open shooters, right? That's kind of the main point here. Now, last season when we were talking about head coaching candidates for the Sacramento Kings, one guy that I really liked and I thought was a favorite was Mike D'Antoni, because I love the offense that he ran. Now, a lot of people remember Mike D'Antoni with the Rockets. If you're a little bit older, Calvin and I, we're aging, Calvin. I have a friend I ran into today who, believe it or not, is the same age as me. He's got some gray hairs, dude. This is crazy. I have not found one yet, but I'm looking. Anyways.
Oh, come on. Really? Man, you're making me feel old. I definitely have gray hair.
Anyways, the offensive that I really loved with Mike D'Antoni, and call me old here, I don't care, whatever. I love the 7 seconds or Shaq when they were in Phoenix. They didn't win a championship or anything like that, but I loved the offensive flow of that. It was basically, run up and down the court, try and find something. If you don't find something easy in the first 7 seconds, give it to Shaq, let him work down low. I feel like a scheme like that might work for the Kings. However, they don't have a Shaq to work down and low. So let's say Fox is running up the court.
Sabonis is a pretty good post player, though.
Yeah, and that's kind of a point I was getting to. So if Fox is running up and down the court, the defense doesn't collapse, but his guy is staying in front of him, then what happens?
Well, then what happens is, that's when you have to have extra movement, right? You have to have this balance between guys standing on the three-point line, waiting to be open in the corner or on the wing, whatever, receiving a pass, and noticing when the initial pick and roll doesn't get started the way you want, or Fox isn't able to split the defense and get into the restricted area. And that's when the movement has to come. So backdoor cuts, off-ball screens, things like that. You're going to dump the ball back down to Sabonis. And then from there, you run a secondary motion, whether it's on the weak side or strong side. Again, a backdoor cut, a screen, something like that. It has to be this kind of balance of we're running a two-man game hoping to get shooters open, but we also have to add that extra movement, kind of like the Golden State Warriors do. I mean, they're the best at it, right? They don't necessarily stick to pick and roll or two-man game the whole time. It's more of a free-flowing thing. But they all definitely know, they can kind of, read your mind is not really the right way to describe it, but they're all intertwined offensively, and I think that the Kings have to have some of that built in to this offense as well.
Yeah, I'm loving what Phoenix is mentioning here in the chat. I agree. I think there's got to be a lot of movement on this team. On your point about Sabonis, could this be a 7 seconds or Sabonis offense? And also, kind of to piggyback off that question, do you think this team, being the Kings, benefits as far as like trying to get a bucket in the first 7 seconds of the offense, or are they better, working the shot clock a little bit longer?
I would love for the Kings to play faster. It's something I've wanted them to do for a long time, and I think that their roster is better suited to it now than it has been actually in the past few years, even going back further than that, 5-6 years. So, yeah, I would love for them to push the ball. They've got a lot of really, really good shooters now, right? And one of the best ways to get a guy a wide-open shot is a transition three. So that, of course, the other side of that is you have to stop the ball, right? You got to get the rebound. You have to make stops defensively, or you have to be able to take the ball out of the basket and run, off of a make. But yes, I would absolutely love to see this team push the pace more and be in the top 5 in the league in pace, because they definitely have the personnel for that.
Yeah, I agree. And when you got one of the fastest players, if not the fastest player in the NBA, you have to take advantage of him, and that is running the ball up the court as quickly as possible, trying to put the defense in a tough spot, try and get a lot of 5-on-4s and just get easy buckets in transition. Phoenix has got a good point here. He says the offensive scheme is for the Kings to hand off central with Sabonis as the primary playmaking hub. Do you like this? Do you think that when Darren Fox, let's say that they're not in a transition opportunity, right? And all 5 guys are back. The Kings are all across half court. And Darren Fox is still trying to attack the basket. Maybe you bring a couple guys to the corners, maybe a Barnes and whoever's playing the 2 guard. Where should Sabonis be? Do you like Sabonis at the top of the key, setting a pick and rolling? Do you like him pick and pop? Or like, where do you think Sabonis's main role will be? And obviously, I know this is going to change. You don't want to run the same play every time. But just like, if I were to just sum up what De'Aaron Fox's role on offense, it's going to be attack the basket, right? So can you summarize Sabonis's role and where he should be the majority of the time on offense?
I would agree with Phoenix, definitely. A primary playmaker, I think that him and De'Aaron Fox can actually share that role because, playmaking can mean a lot of different things, right? It doesn't necessarily mean just setting guys up or passing the ball. You can make plays by getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line, stuff like that. And we all know what De'Aaron's numbers were those final, whatever it was, 13 games or 20 games when they got Sabonis. He was averaging nearly 30 points a game. So the ball definitely needs to be in his hands. But yes, I do think that Sabonis is going to be a lot of times at the top of the key, whether it's to set a pick or a dribble handoff, free throw line extended, somewhere where they can get him the ball in the middle of the floor, because again, that is going to cause a lot of problems for the defense, right? If guys are moving backdoor cuts, he's a great passer. He's able to find them, but he's also a really capable scorer, so you have to worry about stopping him as well. So I definitely think that makes a lot of sense to have him in that playmaking role somewhere, at the top of the key or the free throw line extended when you start the offense. We also have seen from Sabonis, going back to your 7 seconds or less scheme, we've seen a lot of him in Eurobasket this offseason with Lithuania, as the primary ball handler, running up the court, leading the break, stuff like that, grab and go situations, which again can really work in the Kings' advantage when you've got a guy like Darren Fox who is so fast, and then you've got all these other shooters kind of coming down the floor with them. If Sabonis gets the rebound and he leads the break as the initial ball handler, that can create a lot of problems for defenses as well.
Yeah, so you have Sabonis kind of taking the ball and De'Aaron Fox running like a wide receiver, and you have him kick it to Fox and put pressure. And
only in certain situations. I mean, I definitely want to see that, but I still think, for the majority of the game, De'Aaron Fox is going to be the guy bringing the ball up the court. And then they'll start whatever offense or whatever set. It might just be him bringing the ball up the court and giving it to Sabonis so that they can get into another, set or another offensive scheme. But I do think that the ball is going to be in Fox's hands a lot, right? Like that's not going to shock anyone to say that.
Yeah, it's not at all. And looking at the rest of the starting lineup, I expect Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter to be kind of on the wings in the corner, maybe open for three, trying to spread out some of the defense. Where do you see Keegan Murray fitting in on this offense?
I see Keegan Murray fitting in exactly kind of how we saw him excel in Summer League. Not necessarily as a guy that they're going to look to run plays through, even though they did do that in the Summer League, but he wasn't playing with the same type of talent that he's going to be playing with in Sacramento. So I see him being a guy that's going to be a real good trailer option for a wide open three in fast break opportunities. I see him being a really solid catch and shoot guy, somebody that they can give the ball to in the mid range, the high post, something like that. Maybe late in the shot clock if something doesn't go the way it's supposed to be, he's able to create his own offense. But I really think that he's going to be a recipient of the other players that are on the floor. His skill set, I think, complements the rest of this team very well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Like, if you just think about, we were talking about best available, best fit, like a dream scenario, the best available and the best fit are all in one player and all available for the Kings at pick number 4. That's Keegan Murray, in my opinion. So that is definitely a win for the Sacramento Kings. Shout out to Alex here. Brian, I see your question. Thank you. We are going to answer questions. We got a couple more things to cover, and then we'll jump into questions. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them here in the chat. Calvin and I will answer all those once we finish getting through the rest of this. Calvin, let's talk about defense. I'll let you go for it since I interrupted. So defensive schemes for the Sacramento Kings.
Well, again, it's defense is complex, but at its core, it's very simple, right? It requires an incredible amount of intensity and effort, to stay engaged, stay locked in, whether you're on ball or not. And that's something that the Kings just have not done. For me personally, a lot of people have floated around this idea of starting Richaun Holmes and Sabonis together because maybe it adds a little bit more rim protection, something that the Kings have not had much of in the past. I don't like that very much, though. So my emphasis is going to be on point of attack defense. De'Aaron Fox, in my opinion, should be one of the best defenders in the league. He is that athletic. He's that talented. He's capable. It requires just him putting in the effort every single night, the same way that we see Davion Mitchell do it night in and night out. So if they can strengthen their point of attack and their on-ball defense, that's going to help with it doesn't solve every problem, but it's going to help with not having as much rim protection behind it, right? We saw the Utah Jazz, who have the best shot blocker in the game. They really struggled against Dallas in the playoffs last year, not because Rudy Gobert wasn't good, but because they took him away from that middle of the floor, and the Jazz perimeter defense was atrocious. So the Mavericks were able to get to the basket at will, and Gobert just simply couldn't cover enough ground to protect the rim the way that we know he can. So it starts there first and foremost for me. If Fox can commit to being a really, really good defender this season, we already know Davion is going to be at least effort-wise on that level. I think Keegan Murray is a very, very versatile defender, somebody that's going to help them a lot. if he is the guy that starts. And I like that because, again, one of the things the Kings were really bad at last year, and they've been bad at for a few years, is they get put in terrible switch situations constantly by teams. They're not a good switch team. They don't have the right personnel for it, or at least they didn't in the past. Well, starting somebody like Keegan Murray can help a little bit of that because he can switch. He can guard multiple positions. Maybe not every power forward in the league, or at least, he's not going to be relied on to stop every power forward in the league, but he can definitely guard more players than maybe some of the other power forwards that the Kings have started in recent years. So on ball, point of attack defense, and being better in switching. I know they're going to try to single out Sabonis in those lineups, and that's something that you'll have to work with, right? But It to me, it all starts with effort and being better on the ball for the Kings this year.
Yeah, I think that was a great point that you made about how bad the switch defense was last season. And honestly, I think that was because they didn't have any wings last year, right? Like, you're playing a lot of 3-guard lineups. Guys are undersized. You got point guards switching on to small forwards, and then they can just shoot right over you because you're so small, you can't really do much. I think the Kings have definitely helped address that problem in bringing in a bigger guy in Kevin Huerter, who's actually a decent size for a shooting guard, bringing in Keegan Murray. Obviously, Terrence Davis is back. Love his energy, athleticism. The dude is pretty lanky. I think that will help them. However, I think the key thing that you hit on was the fact that the Kings don't really have much rim protection. We'll see what happens with Keita. I saw someone mention him in the chat, and in my mind, hopefully he can change this, right? But the problem is when you're a defender and you don't have rim protection behind you, you have a really, really tough job defending your man, right? Because you can't trust somebody to help. You can't trust the help defense behind you. And that either is going to, like Phoenix says, make you play drop defense, which is going to create a lot of wide open 3-pointers, or you're going to play up on your man and they're going to blow right past you, and either they get Sabonis in foul trouble or they get to the basket for easy layup. So that, I think, is going to be really, really tough for them. One thing to mention on offense, which, when you were talking about defense, it kind of got me thinking about it. One of your favorite teams, the Chicago Bulls, right? One of the best players on that team is DeMar DeRozan. Everybody knows him as, a mid-range sniper, right? He shoots it, it goes in. The mid-range game is so underrated in today's NBA, where everyone wants a 3 or they want to dunk at the basket. But when you are playing guys like Rudy Gobert that you brought up, and you can blow by your first guy, stop, and hit a mid-range shot over the shot blocker, it really opens up a lot of things for your offense, where it brings him away from the basket, and the next time you can blow right past him and score. The Kings don't have a main shot blocker like Gobert. I think the drop defense could help them with a mid-range guy, depending on who they're playing, but they're going to give up a ton of threes if they're playing drop defense all game.
Yeah, absolutely. And to Phoenix's point here in the chat, I totally agree. I'm not saying that rim protection is not important. That I hope that that's not what people are getting from what I'm saying here. I'm saying that you have to go with what your personnel is, right? That the Kings just don't have a real big shot blocker on their team. They simply don't. So what do you have to do? You can't. Your guards have to be better on the perimeter. Your wings have to be better on the perimeter. And I think you can say that even if you do have a good shot blocker, like in Utah's case last year, right? So they're obviously both really important, but the Kings have to work with what their personnel is. So for me, it definitely starts with, you could see how when Davion last year would guard, sometimes 94 feet and force teams to really start their offense, with maybe like 12 seconds on the shot clock or something like that, how much more difficult that is. Between Fox and Davion, they should be able to do that for pretty much the entire game. Like that should be the goal here ultimately.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to use what your players do well to their advantage, right? And Fox, he's a speed demon, right? Like, I remember watching the dude before he was drafted. They were showing some exercise of like him versus a professional boxer on how they had to tap the lights when they lit up. And dude, Darren Fox was so much faster than this other guy. It wasn't even funny. But there hasn't been a coaching staff that's found a way to really unlock that in Darren Fox, especially on the defensive end of the floor. For me, I'm thinking, maybe you got Fox and Mitchell out there. You send a lot of traps. You try and get Fox in there to try and help trap somebody. He can recover quickly to the other defender. But then again, it really depends, the other offensive player, but it really depends on who you're playing, right? Because if you're playing a team with a Buddy Hield type player and you're trapping somebody, they're going to get the ball to him to a wide open three every single time. So it's really going to depend on the personnel you're playing. But overall, if you were to name what the name of this Mike Brown defense will be for this team, you have any thoughts there?
I'm not really sure what you mean by that, to be honest.
Like, give me 3 words to summarize what this defense is going to look like under Mike Brown.
Effort, intensity, and hustle.
Okay.
I think those are probably like 3 of the most basic words you can use to describe defense in general. But
yeah,
when you're taking over a team that has been as bad at defense as the Kings have been for that long, it really is simple how to make yourself better, and it starts with those 3 things: effort, intensity, and hustle. You just mentioned how Darren Fox, we haven't really had a coach that's been able to unlock that in him, right? The best defenders in the league don't have coaches that unlock that in them. It comes from them inside. They have the will, the desire to want to do it. So it's really, a lot of it is up to him.
You think we're going to see any box and one defense this year? I know we saw it in the finals a few years ago.
It's certainly possible. I mean, if I was to bet on it, I wouldn't really put a lot of money on it. I think it's a very situational thing. But you never know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We can move on here. I want to hear from you, Calvin. Biggest surprise Kings player this season?
Man, that's tough because you could take that a lot of different ways, right? Like if Keegan Murray wins Rookie of the Year, is he the biggest surprise? If somebody like Davion Mitchell were to win Most Improved Player or something like that, he would be the biggest surprise. I think that you probably know kind of what to expect from those guys in terms of what it's going to look like, not necessarily the numbers. So I would probably have to go with one of these bench guys, and I'm kind of looking at the power forwards because that group is kind of the most unknown group to me on this team. You're not really sure who's going to be the starter. You're not really sure who's going to be the first person off the bench, and it's probably going to change a lot throughout the course of the season. So I don't know how confident I am in saying this, but biggest surprise to me would probably be somebody like a Trey Lyles or Chimezie Metu who have really, really good seasons that you're not quite expecting, where they become this very reliable second, rotation guy in that power forward position.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to point to here. I read an awesome article on Sacktown Royalty today about Chimezie Metu and how he is poised to have the biggest year of his career. It goes on to discuss here, how he's played the past 2019, 2020 as a member of the Nigerian men's national team. And guess who his coaches were? Mike Brown, Jordi Fernandez. And he's played exceptionally well. He also had a game winner this past season against Dallas. I think Chimezie Metu could be the guy that steps up this season. You and I were watching him last year, right? And we saw times where we're like, dude, Chimezie Metu, who is this guy? Like, should he be starting on this team? Like, he's playing incredible. And then we had other moments where like, okay, this is why he's on the bench. This is why he's not getting playing time. Hopefully he can take that next step, right? Because the difference between a good player and a great player is someone that can do it consistently. Well, he's got the consistency and coaching staff here in Mike Brown and Jordi Fernandez. So I think Chimezie Metu could be the most surprising Kings player this season. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be somebody that we haven't even mentioned yet.
Yeah.
You know, like Keon
Well,
Ellis,
I'll tell
for
you
example.
what the answer
like,
I wanted to say on this. I wanted to say Darren Fox was going to be the biggest surprise on the Kings this year because I want Darren Fox to average 35 and 7 next season.
But would that be a big surprise to you?
Yes, it would be, Calvin.
I mean, yes, it would be surprising to see him average 35 points a game, but this is a guy that has averaged, close to 30 a lot in his career. So
yep.
It's just it's a hard question to answer, right? Because a surprise is something that you don't see coming. So
2 says Kevin Huerter. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, certainly could be. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're kind of expecting from him, right? Like, I see Kevin Huerter playing very similarly on this team to how he played in Atlanta. They're not going to with the players that they have on this team, I don't think that Kevin Huerter is going to be in a position where the Kings get him the ball and clear out and say, go get us a bucket, right? That would be surprising to me. They're going to use him the same way that he was used in Atlanta. That doesn't mean that he's not going to have a great year, shoot 42% from 3, average close to 20, maybe even over 20 a game. That would be a little surprising. And to his point here, a breakout performance. But I don't know if it would be he would then be the most surprising player on the team to me. That wouldn't really shock me.
What's up, Mike? Welcome in. Sorry, Cal. I'm laughing at Sass here. Trey Lance is the Buddy Hield of football. Oh man, Sass, you cracked me up, dude. That's hilarious. So I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Calvin. Like, if he can average 20 points on 42% shooting from 3, he is the breakout player potentially for the Sacramento Kings. And I see the Kings, making it maybe past the first round of the playoffs if Huerter is playing that exceptionally well. But you're right. Like, it's really going to depend. We will see what happens. I could see Huerter having an incredible season with the Kings. But then again, he's got to make shots and he's got to get the opportunities, right? Like, it's not like he played on a bad team last year with the Atlanta Hawks. He's playing next to a guy, in Trey Young. Like, what point guard's going to allow you more spacing than Trey Young if you're a shooting guard, right? Like, it's going to be a Steph Curry, a Trey Young, but maybe Fox can do the same thing with his speed, right? He doesn't have the shooting ability, but he's got the speed. So maybe he can run, some screens and try and figure out a way to get Kevin Huerter open. For me, the main thing, if you're going to play shooting guard on the Kings, you got to do it. And I'm going to go right back to Buddy Hield here, but you got to run. You always got to be moving. And that's the key, right? Like, there were times last season that you and I got so frustrating watching the Kings offense because we're just like, why is nobody moving? Everybody's just standing around. They're getting stagnant. And then they get stuck and they take a bad shot with like 5 seconds left in the shot clock because nobody's moving. If Kevin Huerter can continually run, it's really going to help this team out a lot. And I would love if he would be the breakout player this year for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, that would be obviously a great thing to happen for them.
All right, I see some more questions coming in here, guys. We will definitely answer the questions. We got one thing to cover real quick, and then we will jump here into questions. Calvin, are you done with surprise player and ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's talk about Game 1. You ready? Game 1, dude. We're not talking
it's
about
right around the corner.
Postseason, although the postseason is coming up, and I guess you could say the games do matter. But I'm talking about regular season. This is Game 1 against the Portland Trailblazers. How are you feeling about this game, Calvin?
Well, overall, I feel good. I mean, the Kings definitely have a chance to win this game. I think these are two of maybe the hardest teams to kind of envision what it's really going to look like maybe in the Western Conference, just because they've got a whole cast of new players in there. Even though we, as Kings fans, we agree that the direction the team is heading is the right one, or at least a better one than what has been in the past. It's still unknown as to what it's going to look like and if it'll work on the court, right? But I think that the Kings are going to match up well with Portland, and one of the biggest reasons for that is depth. Portland doesn't seem to have a ton of depth to me. Certainly that starting five has the potential to be pretty dangerous. And if Keegan Murray does, in fact, start day one at power forward, he's going to have a tough test right away with Jeremy Grant. So that's kind of like a toss-up matchup to me right away. And, of course, Damian Lillard is Damian Lillard. But I think the Kings win this game because of their depth, and they're at home. Let's see here. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Phoenix. Dame will be eager to come out and just shred teams, not just the Kings. I think he's definitely on, one of those revenge seasons or comeback seasons, to remind everybody that he's relevant again. I know that somebody, I forget who it was, two maybe in the chat, was asking if we were going to buy any tickets to the games. Unfortunately, I have to make the announcement that I will not be in Sacramento for the season opener. My work is not going to allow me to take the time off. Barry is still going to be there. I'm hoping I can maybe get to the first game against the Golden State Warriors on Sunday the 22nd. So that would be the 23rd. But we'll see. So regardless, we will definitely be at least one, hopefully more than one game this season. But yeah, very unfortunate. It's also my birthday week too, and I can't get time off for it, so I'm really bummed.
Jerks, man. Jerks. Not giving people time off for their birthdays.
I know, right?
You guys heard it. Boycott Hyatt.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but yeah, so look, like I was saying, Barry, I think you got to feel pretty good if you're the Kings. You're starting the season at home. And yeah, I think when it comes down to it, the depth is going to ultimately win the game for them.
So you're not high on the Blazers right now.
I'm a
Is that
little
what you're saying?
nervous about Nurkic inside. I think he could cause a lot of problems. Not necessarily them giving him the ball to score, but rebounding, right? Like, I know Sabonis is a tremendous rebounder, but we've seen the Kings get killed on the offensive glass a lot in years past. And, if Richaun Holmes is not starting next to Sabonis, that might create a lot of offensive glass opportunities for the Blazers, which has been a huge Achilles heel for Sacramento.
Yeah, actually, you just sparked a memory of something. So the problem, Calvin, is a lot of times I have really great ideas, but like either I'm talking or you're talking, and then by the time it's like my turn to talk, I like totally forget about what I was going to say. But anyways, you brought up a great point that I was thinking about when we were talking about defense, and that's rebounding, right? A lot of people don't consider rebounding as part of defense, but in my mind, it's the most important part of defense, right? Because you could get a stop, you don't get a rebound, your stop is meaningless, especially if the ball touches the rim because they get a new fresh shot clock. You got a rebound to end every single possession. I think that's a thing that a lot of people are overlooking as far as Sabonis. They say, well, Sabonis isn't a rim protector, all this stuff, but he's a great rebounder. So he doesn't need to block shots. If he can contest shots, if he can get rebounds and close out possessions, that is as useful as a block shot. Maybe even more, because we've seen guys block shots in the past. I'm going to go back to like some old LeBron James clips where you see LeBron literally coming out from half court to chase down, block somebody, and then the other player just gets the ball and lays it right back up. And that block looked great on TV, but it was actually meaningless in the game. I think that's one aspect of Sabonis that is extremely underrated, is the fact that he can get a rebound to end a defensive possession.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked the key word for me in that little spiel you just had was contest shots.
That rant.
That is so huge. Sure, we'll call it a rant, Barry's rant. But yeah, contesting shots. Even if you get beat, you can still contest a shot. So that is something that, again, goes back to hustle and effort, and those are things that have to be elevated for the Kings if they're going to improve as a team overall, and especially on defense.
All right, man. The questions are heating up here. You ready to dive here into cowbell questions?
Oh yeah.
All right, let me scroll here to the top. Dude, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys all for joining us. We appreciate you all. We're excited for the Kings season to start. Drop your questions here in the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer them here. Starting from the top, Brian Thompson. Calvin, is Stewart a good player? I'll let you take this one.
Well, he's a pro, so the answer to that question is yes. How good of a player he is to be determined.
Yes, that's a very political answer. All these guys have been the best player on their team for their whole life, and now they reach the NBA, and they're like, oh, wait, I'm the 10th best player on my team. Ultimately, I don't think he's going to end up on the Kings this season. However, I would love to see him
I don't
succeed
think he really
on
moves
Stockton.
the needle for Sacramento. But
Yeah, exactly. All right, question 2 from Matthew. Who are you, and what have you done with my chickens? Calvin, I'll let you take this one first.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Who are you, and what have you done with my chickens?
Well, I know I haven't been on the show in or that much recently, but I am Calvin. I was, one of the founding members of Royal Rebounds with Barry, and I really don't know what happened to the chickens, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe Barry ate them?
I don't know if you've been to Hawaii, but there are chickens effing everywhere here, dude. Everywhere. And
Yeah, they call them squirrels here.
Yeah, it's the state bird of Hawaii is the chicken. But it's changed a lot, dude. When I moved to Maui, there was not many chickens here at all. You go to Kauai, there was chickens everywhere. A lot of people mentioned Hurricane Aniki let a lot of chickens out, and it just took time for them to kind of populate. Now they're everywhere in Maui. They're at Safeway. They're in parking lots here or there. I have no idea what this question has to do with Kings basketball, and I appreciate you all for listening to our answers.
Yeah,
and
sorry,
sticking
guys.
with us.
That was quite a tangent.
But I just got to throw this out there. I've had chickens in the past. I'm going to have chickens again. They're awesome. Fresh eggs. Gotta love them. All right, here. Next question. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Brian says, is Keita...
Matthew, you kill me, man.
Is Keita a two-way player?
Not yet. Not yet. A guy that basically his only offensive game is around the rim. If he's not able to finish with both hands, which right now he is not, you cannot call him a two-way player.
He's on his way, man. We all want a lot from Keita. We really do. We expect a lot, but keep in mind, dude, this guy is only a person. He's only one man, and we just want him to get better every year. Bigs take a little bit longer. All right, Alfie Man says, hi, Calvin. Did the Pistons vibe throw you a little bit? Not sure what that means, but I'll let you take it.
You guys are really testing me here in my first show back. I have no idea what that means. Apparently, I'm off. I guess I'm sorry. I haven't done a show in almost 3 weeks.
Or sorry, because you were in Michigan. Maybe that's why the
Pistons.
Yeah.
I get the Pistons reference, but I don't get the rest of it. I guess. I apologize if I seem off in some way. I don't think it was related in any way to the Detroit Pistons. Maybe the 6-hour time change back and forth is more of a reason, but probably not the Pistons.
All right. 2 says, did you buy any Kings tickets? 2, I have not bought my tickets yet. I'm a procrastinator. I wait. I hope that they have the best deals for courtside seats, and then I jump at the last moment. However, if you have any good tickets or you know anybody that wants to hook somebody up, let me know, because I still need to buy some Kings tickets. It's unfortunate that Calvin's not going to make it to the first couple games. I will definitely be at game 1. I might be changing my schedule around for game 2 or 3, but I will definitely keep you guys posted. But I will be at game 1. I promise you that. I will be there celebrating the Kings' undefeated season 1-0. I will be there. I promise you. All right, let's see. Alex says, I wish we could throw some picks to get Michael Porter Jr. I'm a big Michael Porter Jr. fan, man, but I don't know if the Kings are in a position to gamble right now for a guy like that. They need guys that can do stuff right now. They do. Fox will become an all-star this season and will carry us to the 5th seed. Calling it now. Callie Sharp. Calvin, let him have it. Let's hear it.
I love your optimism. That would be phenomenal. There's no other way to say it, but I do remember seeing some Phoenix comments shortly after that, and I am afraid I have to agree with him. I just don't see how the Kings can be better than those 5 teams at the top of the conference last year, or even 6 with Denver, right? Like, Denver's going to be better this year than they were last year. Memphis is still going to be great. Golden State's going to be great. Phoenix, you've got all these teams. For the Kings to finish 5th, it's going to have to take, unfortunately, injuries, I think. Teams are going to have to fall out of the race because their best players aren't playing anymore, which is certainly possible, but 5th is just way too high for me.
I think the most important thing here is that Fox will become an all-star this season. Because, honestly, if Fox is an all-star, I don't think it's that unrealistic to think that they can't be the 5th seed. But Fox needs to have an incredibly productive season to be an all-star. Incredibly productive in the West. If he can make an all-star team this season, I could see the Kings being a 5th seed. I really could. But if Fox is an all-star, that means Sabonis is an all-star. And that means that this is a really good Sacramento Kings team.
That means this is not just a really good Sacramento Kings team, but I mean, they have to play so above their expectation to make the 5th seed. I will be surprised, over the moon happy if the Kings finish the regular season as the 8th seed. Like. I really will. I mean, Minnesota, for example, are they going to be better than Minnesota this season? In the regular season, I'm not that confident on that right now. I hope they can prove me wrong, but there's just a ton of obstacles to overcome in order for them to reach, even the 8th, 7th, or 6th seeds, let alone 5.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here, Calvin. We could do it. We could do it. What I want to hear, Callie Sharp, if you're still watching, I love the prediction, by the way. Calling it now. That was me last season, right? Every single thing. I was like, I'm calling it right now. What are you putting on the line? That's what I want to know. What are you betting with Calvin? Calvin says you're capping. They ain't going to be the 5th seed. If they're the 5th seed, Calvin, what are you doing? And Callie Sharp, if they're not the 5th seed, what are you sacrificing? What are you giving up? What are you doing? Because that's what it all comes down to. You want to make a prediction? I love it. You got to put something on the line.
No, he doesn't. That's what we have to do, Barry. He doesn't have to put anything on the line. He just gets to make the call. All right. We hope he's right.
Calvin, Kings are...
This
is a tough,
I guess I
should say.
One
because I want to say, if the Kings are the 5th seed, you got to cut your hair. But then, at the same time, I'm thinking if you're King's Jesus, you're the reason, your long hair is the reason they get the 5th seed. So I don't know. 2 says October 31st.
With that. If the Kings finish the regular season in the 5th seed, I will absolutely buzz my head. 100%.
What if we shave? Can we shave it and polish it on the air?
That I'm not too sure of. I have a very small head and very big ears. I don't necessarily like the way that's going to look. So
we could trim your ears too, man.
Plus, my girlfriend would probably hate that. So
2 says October 31st versus the Charlotte Hornets. Calvin, we were talking about potentially going to that game, right? Like, you might be able to do it. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but we were talking about potentially Halloween versus the Hornets. It's a tricky day for me because I love Kings basketball. However, I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. It really is. Like, I have a girlfriend, but I'm not married. I don't have kids. So if I fill out a form, I'm single, right? I'm young. I like to drink. I like to have fun. Halloween is the best holiday. It's not a family holiday, in my opinion. It's a late, have fun holiday, and they have great Halloweens here in Maui. They close down the street. They call it the Mardi Gras of the Pacific.
Yes.
I always wanted to go
this
to
year
Vegas
is
for
supposed to be the
Halloween.
first year that it comes back to that, right? We haven't really had a typical Halloween in Maui for the past couple years. So, but we'll see. I will definitely take going to my first Kings game of the season, overspending Halloween here. So
We'll definitely let you know,
we
too.
will
but
see.
Stoked you're going. Sean says, 5th seed sounds nice. I believe we can. I love it, Sean. Keep up that energy. Keep up that energy. Uh-oh. I got scrolled all the way to the bottom again. Hold on one second. People are making more predictions. Brian says, you guys had some great tickets above the Kings bench. Yeah, Brian, that was a lot of fun, dude. I had
awesome.
lot of Coronas and a lot of punch afterwards. But it was a great time, dude. And that was Sabonis' first game, Cal. It couldn't have been better for us. Couldn't have been better.
Yeah, it was great. It
Maybe
was a
we
lot of
should-
fun to be there.
Maybe we should plan another trip around the trade deadline this year. Maybe we could do like a trade line special at one of the bars there right across from the arena, do some live coverage. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Mike's going to the Mavs game. What day is that?
Ooh, shocker.
What day is that? I'm scrolling through the schedule here. Kings, Mavericks. Wow, they don't play them for a minute. Not going to have to see Luka Doncic do his thing, huh? Skinny Luka. Maybe we'll face him when he gets fat again. Fat Luka.
They're going to fatten him up for the playoff run? That's what you're saying?
February 10th and 11th. Mavericks.
Oh,
which game
that
are you
might be
going
the
to?
trade deadline show.
Yeah, which game are you going to, Mike? I'd love to go. Phoenix says 5th seed is crazy. Yeah, Phoenix, we're crazy. We're Kings fans, dude. That's what we do. Essential said, can't wait to see Kings Bulls. Yes, I'm excited for that
I agree
as
with
well.
that one.
Wow, Harrison Barnes will be traded before Xmas. Over or under Xmas date? Any thoughts?
I'll go over. I think it's going to be closer to the trade deadline. I've said it before, but a lot is going to depend on how the Kings perform through the first 2 months of the season, right? Like if they're all of a sudden just losing a ton of games, it could very well be before Christmas. They might have to, or might, quote unquote, panic and make a move. But my gut feeling is that it would be around the trade deadline.
I'm going to say there is no way in hell Harrison Barnes is traded before Christmas. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think that the Kings are going to be the 5th seed this season. So Harrison Barnes is
Here we go. You got him,
not
Cal.
getting
You
traded.
got him on it, man.
But if they are not, I see him like, I agree with you, around the trade deadline. I originally was like maybe Harrison Barnes could get traded beginning of the season, right before the season, maybe bring in a John Collins, somebody like that. I don't see that happening at this point. So I think the Kings...
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I think the Kings at this point, like, they're rocking with their guys, and I honestly think that's the right thing to do. Like, why are you trying to just switch up the roster, like, right before training camp? Like, you've set your roster, like, let's develop chemistry now.
Yeah, I agree completely. And just to add to that, I think typically speaking, you see guys in Harrison Barnes' position get traded around the trade deadline. He's an older vet, an expiring contract, a guy that teams, contending teams will hold out until the trade deadline to determine whether or not they need to, they think that they're underachieving, so they need to go out and make a roster change, or dumping salary, stuff like that, preparing for the offseason, things like that. That's where the expiring contract comes in, and that stuff typically happens right around the trade deadline. So,
Calvin, over or under on Luka Doncic's weight February 10th? Go.
You want me to set the over-under line? Or
What's
you
the
want me to
over-under
make a
on
call
how many-
over or under?
How many pounds he weighs by February 10th?
By February 10th? Well, I don't even know how much he weighs currently, so I'm going to say the over-under is 230.
Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up here. I don't even know how tall this guy. Oh, He's 6'7", 230.
There you go. That's the line right there. Over under 230.
30. You took the easy way out, but that's okay. All right, Phoenix. Dude, Phoenix has always got the best questions here. It's not really a question. It's he's putting you in a pickle here, Calvin. Start, bench, or cut Paul George, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler.
Oh, man. I hate this start, bench, cut stuff. Because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? Like, you would want to have any of these guys on your team.
Just pretend like you're Steve Kerr,
Paul George, Jason Tatum, and Jimmy Butler. I will.
Paul George is starting for me. Throw that out there.
Man, I love Jimmy Butler so much. I don't think that he is. I think he's the third worst or the third best player on this list. But he's definitely the guy that I would take on my team. Man, that's a tough one. I would probably say start Paul George, cut Jimmy, and bench Tatum. Yeah. If a gun was held to my head.
I agree. I do have to throw it out there that I think that Paul George and Jimmy Butler are better two-way players than Jason Tatum. So depending on what the makeup of the team is, I might select a different guy. However, if I don't know, I agree with you. I'm starting Paul George, benching Tatum, cutting Jimmy Butler, and hopefully Jimmy Butler doesn't cut me as well because the dude's crazy. And I actually met him here on Front Street. We had a good day, dude. We checked out a couple places. It was really fun.
Oh, Brian, that's a good question. Where is Fred?
Fred Dixon. He's probably hanging with his daughters or something, Calvin. Drinking some beers. All right, let's see here. Get to some more. I think I'm finally catching up here. Phoenix says Nikola Jokic is arguably the best player on the planet, and he's getting his number 2 and number 3 scoring options back. The Nuggets can legitimately win the title next year. Yeah, they can if their guys stay healthy. And I love Michael Porter
Yeah, but
Jr.,
I mean, you can say that about just about every team, right?
Yeah,
if
but
their
not
guys
every
stay
team's
healthy.
second or third best players having back surgery every year, Calvin.
That's true.
And I'm a big Michael Porter Jr.
There are a
fan.
lot of all-stars that are returning from injury this year. I mean,
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Paul George. I mean, I know Paul George did play last year a little bit, but like that's a long list of guys that are big-time players that were hurt for all or most of last season. So I think that stay healthy term applies to just about every team in the league.
Yeah, the Warriors made it somehow. What's
They
up,
did.
Jeff? Good to see you here. All right, we got another hard hitter coming in from Matthew. Calvin, you ready for it? What's Keegan's nickname going to be, and why is it not going to be Kegel?
Oh, gosh. It's not going to be Kegel because we like Keegan Murray and we want him to be good, right? You can't call him Kegel if you think that he's a great player, or you want to be a fan of him. I don't know what his nickname's going to be. I really don't.
I like
and
Slim
I also
Duncan.
don't think he needs one.
I like Slim
He
Duncan
can
a
just
lot.
be Keegan, and Keegan can win Rookie of the Year, and the Kings can be the 5th seed in the playoffs, and I'll shave my head.
Yeah. Let's do it. Polishing it like Mr. Ma, dude. We're gonna put a. I want to see a Kings logo in your head, Calvin. Calvin's having a rough first day back. All right, Jason. Finally, we're getting some good questions here. Jason, what is up, Jason? Kings record after the first 15 games. I'm gonna go 15-0. What about you, Cal?
Have you seen their schedule for the first 15 games? It is.
Does it matter?
Really, really difficult. Yes, it absolutely matters to me. I am not going to go 15-0. I think they're going to be lucky to come out of that 500. So I'm going to go like 7-8.
Ouch.
Sorry, guys. I'm a realist.
JN says 5-10. So you're
Lord Murray is a good one. I like that, Alfie, man.
You're better than JN here. JN saying 5-10. All right. Sean's talking about Jokic, Fox. Let's keep scrolling here. Oh, sorry. I saw something about Calvin will shave his head. Oh, somebody says shave an eyebrow. I love this. Calvin, if you can't shave your head, will you shave one eyebrow instead?
I will definitely shave my head before I shave one eyebrow.
Okay. All right.
I do have to be on camera and go to work and things like that, and I feel like I can get away with a shaved head much easier than I can with a shaved eyebrow. I don't want everybody to be asking me what bet I lost.
We'll just draw one on for you. No one will even know, dude. We can decide. You can wake up. You can say, I want to be happy or angry or sad today, and we can just set it and forget it.
I'm just going to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson the whole time with one eyebrow raised.
There you go. Do you smell what Calvin's cooking at work today? Phoenix says Minnesota being a top 4 seed wouldn't surprise me. See, I'm really mixed on this, Calvin, because I think that Anthony Edwards, like you and I have been talking about this for a while, but Anthony Edwards had an incredible season last year. Do I think he can do it again and become even better? Yes, I do. Will he? That's still yet to be, figured out. But they added a big name guy in Gobert. I just don't know how that's going to work, man. I really don't. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Minnesota and Gobert and Towns tandem? Will they be a top 4 seed?
Will they be a top 4 seed? I'm going to say no. But I do kind of agree with Phoenix that it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to happen this season if it does. You know how big of a fan I am of Anthony Edwards. I think that guy is the absolute truth. And if he continues to improve at the rate that he has, we could easily be talking about one of the 5 best players in the game very shortly. So that alone gives me confidence that Minnesota will be really, really good. As far as what Gobert is going to do for them ultimately, I agree with you. It is a question mark. And to me, the question mark is more so on Karl Anthony Towns than it is on Gobert. I know what Gobert is going to do. Yeah. But is Karl Anthony Towns going to be? I don't question him offensively.
Can he play the 4?
But can he play? Can he play D at the forward position? And that's going to be a big determining factor in how good they go, how far they go. Yeah, absolutely.
He's got to get his conditioning up because he's going to be exhausted chasing after some of these 4s.
Yeah. And look, D'Angelo Russell's a really skilled player, but Minnesota benefited greatly from having Beverly be able to come in and be the backup there for a lot of reasons, primarily defense. And they don't have him anymore. So, how big of a difference that makes, I'm not so sure, because you did add a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in place of him, but they play a very different position, very different role. And to me, D'Angelo Russell has been, overall, I would say, kind of disappointing for them over the last couple of years. So,
yep. Jeff says, I feel it's a little early to call Herter the starter over Monk. I think it's the player that has the best chemistry with Fox. I mean, Jeff, I agree with you. We're just kind of going with what ESPN is ranking at this point. And Herter's just a little bit bigger of a guy. He's not a defensive liability like Monk is. This is not a knock at Monk because I like Monk a lot. I just think Monk will fit better with Davion Mitchell coming off the bench. What about you, Cal?
Yeah. I mean, it remains to be seen, right? Like, we don't even know what the starting lineup is for this team yet. So, I mean, I think I can make a pretty solid guess as to what it will be, but we don't know yet. So there's a lot, obviously, that still has to play out.
Yep. Alex says he's going to grow his hair out if we get the 5th seed. That's the opposite of you, Calvin, but I like it. Neil says that you can wear my hair as a wig.
It's going to be hard.
Keep my hair, but I can, I guess, shave my head too, and we can tape it to your head.
And this hair thing is kind of getting out of control.
Alfie Man says, since Lithuania lost in the FIBA, do you think Sabonis is more focused with energy?
Because they lost, is he more focused with energy? I don't think so. I mean, he's not going to play as many games as some of these other guys. So yes, in that regard, but I think these guys all, at this point,
get back to Sacramento.
They're all working really, really hard in the off season. Whether it's playing in these tournaments, these competitions, or working out in the gym their own way with pickup games or whoever you're trusting to go work out together. We've seen a lot of different guys on social media popping up, working out together. So I think the easiest answer to that question is he won't have to play as many games in Eurobasket. So yes, he has less chance to obviously get hurt and start the season rested.
Brian says, I feel like Phoenix should call in. And I agree with you, Brian. Phoenix, I don't have it set up today, but next week I would love to have you call in on the show. You got a lot of awesome points.
Or anybody, for that matter.
And maybe you can... Was it Phoenix you got into last year debating about who's the best player in the Kings?
No, that was Sass.
Oh, that was Sass.
Still waiting, Sass, still waiting.
Yeah. Anyways, I might as well just point it out right now. We're live tomorrow on Basketball at the Bar. Make sure you join us all. If you have not, go subscribe to the channel. We're giving away a $250 Fanatics gift card. No Royal Rebounds this Thursday, but we will be back on Tuesday. So just a heads up. Please join us tomorrow. We're going to be having fun. And also, I've been playing the new NBA 2K, playing the Jordan Challenge. I'm going to stream some stuff this week and this weekend. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. It will be on the other channel, Basketball at the Bar. Where's Fred? Yeah, that's a great question. We'll call the Coast Guard. We're missing a guy named Fred. He likes beers, and he likes the Kings. Oh, what about Keegus Christ, dude?
You guys are very creative. I love it. Absolutely,
I love it, dude. Lord Murray. I like Keegus Christ better.
I like Lord Murray the best, I gotta say. It's just got a good ring to it.
All right, we're getting towards the end here, so if you guys got any more questions, go ahead and drop them here in the chat. And yes, Alfie, man, it is Taco Tuesday, which is really, really exciting.
Yes, it is. Hey, it was Taco Day at lunch or at the cafeteria today, now that I think about it. So,
which player in the NBA is going to have that comeback revenge tour season? That's a really, really tough question, Phoenix. Calvin, I'm going to take this one first because I've been asking you a lot of these questions
options
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There is a ton of options. Like, it's tough, man. Like, you look, we were talking about the Nuggets, right? Like, Michael Porter Jr. could come back and have an incredible season. Jamal Murray can come back and have an incredible season. The dude was absolutely killing it, before he was injured. Then I look at a guy like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving could come in and just like take the league by storm. This is a really, really tough question, Calvin. I'm pawning it off on you while I come up with an answer.
Oh, wow. Talk about a politician there. I'm going to take this one. You know what? You take this one. I'll give you two. I don't know who I'm going to side with here one way or the other, but I think two guys that are set up to have really, really strong seasons are John Wall and Zion Williamson. Now, of course,
great point.
Any of these people that we're talking about, the question is, well, what if they get hurt? Yes, of course, they've got to stay healthy. All of these guys do. But I think the teams that they're on, the situations that they're in, John Wall and Zion Williamson are poised to have really, really good seasons. Yeah.
I got to agree with you. I think John Wall. I think it's set up for success for him. And then, now that we're talking about the Clippers, could Kawhi Leonard be included in this list? Could he come back strong?
Absolutely, he could. Like I said, there are a lot of options here. Buddy Hield is not going to be one of them for me. But
all right, our next question is a good one. And it reminds me to remind you all, we are sponsored by BetUs. If you'd like to bet with us, go ahead and hit that link down below in the description. You get a 125% sign-up bonus when you sign up with BetUs. All right, Calvin, if I'm betting Who's the first King to score a bucket this season?
Who's the first King to score a bucket this season?
Yep. This brought to you by Neil Webb. Thank you, Neil.
Neil Webb. Thank you, Neil. It's a tough question. Man,
I got to go with Darren Fox.
Pretty much a shot in the dark. I'm going to go Sabonis.
Sabonis.
With a Fox assist.
Hey, write that down, dude. Write that down. I got Fox. You got Sabonis. Write it down in your memory, because I know you're really good at that stuff. You know, elephant. Calvin's an elephant. All right, we'll check back on that in game 1. Maybe we'll bet a beer on it. We'll see.
Okay.
I'll buy you a beer at home. You can buy me a beer at the game, depending on who scores first. Is that okay deal?
Okay. That's a deal.
Phoenix says Gobert moves me a lot. I think he's one of the best floor raisers in the NBA. The way he can quarterback an entire defense, and he gets better perimeter defenders this time around in Minnesota. That's tough, Phoenix. I mean, the Jazz were the number 1 ranked defense. How can you get better?
Their perimeter defenders were not good, like he said. They were not good.
How do you get better than number 1 ranked defense? Are you saying the Timberwolves are going to be the best defensive team in the league?
They could.
Yeah. Towns? I'm not sold on Towns, man.
Anthony Edwards, the dude gambles a lot for me defensively. But if he, again, takes another step on both sides of the floor and Gobert is there, this team, they could be very, very tough defensively. Jaden McDaniels is another guy that I absolutely love. Very, very versatile. Really, really long wingspan, good shot blocker, can guard multiple positions. They definitely have potential.
I'm just going to throw this out there, Calvin. The Jazz are the most overrated team this season. I'm just saying it.
Jazz are the most overrated team?
Just saying it, yeah.
I don't think anybody's expecting them to be good.
Or no, sorry. I'm not talking about the Jazz. The Timberwolves. Sorry, I'm thinking Gobert in the Jazz. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the most overrated team this coming season. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not sold.
Wow.
I'm not sold.
Okay.
And I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan. But I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are the most overrated team this season. Just going to leave that there. Sean, thank you. Nice hair. Yes, I'm getting a haircut on Thursday, so it'll be fresh next week. Don't worry.
Man, goes 2 years without a haircut, and now you can't go 2 weeks without one.
Dude, once a month, man. I'm getting it in once a month. Don't be mad, dude. Just because you want a haircut. Maybe the Kings will be
I don't want a haircut.
You'll have an
right
excuse,
now.
Dude.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Phoenix says my pick is Anthony Davis. Hey,
Another
that's
good
a great
one. I like
pick.
that too.
Great pick,
I like that
but
a lot.
He's got to stay healthy.
Well, yeah, of course. Like I said, any of these guys that you're going to talk about, revenge tour, yeah, of course, they're coming off of injuries, so they got to stay healthy.
Yep. All right, dude. I think that's all of our questions. Oh, actually, we got a good comment here that was hidden by the algorithm. I will unhide this. I think this one's for you, Calvin. It says get a porn stash. I think this was directed for you.
I'm gonna pass. Thank you for the offer, but this is about the extent of the facial hair that I can do here. So I don't think I could even really grow one if I tried. But
dude, I had a great porn stash during the beginning of the pandemic. Did I not?
That's right, you did.
Did I not?
I wish we could pull up a picture of you right now.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way to get it on here so I can show everyone. It was wild. I have a picture of in a Zoom call. What was it? April? I think it was in April.
The stash.
I think it was in April, Calvin, where we were locked down, couldn't go to the beach, all this stuff. I had like a family Zoom call, and my uncle straight up told me, "You look like somebody we hide our kids from."
Yeah.
It was 1 month.
It was good.
It was 1 month.
Man, you guys are killing it in the
facial
chat
hair
right now.
and letting the hair grow. It was 1 month, dude, of letting it go, and I'm getting attacked by family members. It was wild.
You did look incredibly different. Like if I didn't spend, all day
Incredibly
every day with
sexy,
you, I'm not
you
sure I
mean?
would have recognized you. Yes, that's what I meant.
I thought I pulled it off pretty well. I'd continue to do it, but the problem is I could never get anything done because I had to rip women off of me when I was when I was in the grocery store, at the gas station. You'd be surprised, it's so much harder to get things done in your life when people are just throwing themselves at you all the time. So if you see someone with a mustache, it's not all fun and games, man. They have to put a lot of work in.
You don't have to insult the rest of us here on this show, okay?
How many likes for a Calvin haircut like Barry's? Brian, it's simple. The Kings just have to make the 5th seed, right? Is that where we're setting it at right now? 5th seed.
Yes. 5th seed.
That's bold, dude. That's pretty bold, Calvin.
It is bold.
All right. Last question. And then what time is it? 7:33. I still could probably make it out fishing tonight. All right. What do you think is better? A defense completely reliant on their strong point of attack defense, but they have no real backline help, or a defense that's reliant on a god tier rim protector, but no good point of attack defense? It's a very open-ended question, Phoenix. Calvin, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard to say. Obviously, there's so many different factors, like personnel and all this stuff. I'd probably say having the best possible rim protector, the best possible backline defense would be the way I would go. I mean, even if you have nobody who can stop the ball, those guys can still get in on plays. They can still contest shots. They can still make things difficult. And you obviously have that.
This is kind of what your question reminds me of.
Yeah, pretty much. You obviously have that, Ben Wallace type guy or whatever it is, Rudy Gobert back behind you, who's going to make up for more mistakes than not. You can have the greatest on-ball defender in the world, but if he gets screened or something like that, or slips, and the guy is able to break by him, then you have nothing left behind it. So.
Yeah, that's a tough question, man. I think either of these teams are screwed, right? Like, you either need to have some kind of rim protection.
It's not ideal for either one, but
and some perimeter defense, or you got to have at least some kind of perimeter defense and a good rim protector to be a good team. However, I'm just going to take this question in a totally different avenue, and I'm going to say it depends on your offense, right? Like, if I got a bunch of shooters and Steph Curry's on my team, maybe I'm better off with a perimeter heavy defense. I'll let people get to the basket. I could shoot myself back in the game. Versus if I got a stiff guy who's locking down the paint, but I'm allowing lots of 3-pointers. I don't know. That's tough. Either way, right? Like, either of those teams are screwed in my mind.
the modern era aspect of this does, maybe change things a little bit, because teams are going to take, an excessive amount of 3-point shots. So you definitely want to have guys that can guard the 3. But yeah, I feel like Jim Carrey here for sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep showing this because it is
or
hilarious.
Ace, I guess I should say.
And like Ace, one of my favorite movies. What's up, Key Kings? Thank you for joining us. We're just wrapping it up here. Sorry, you might have to hit the rewind button because we discuss a bunch of fun stuff today and a bunch of random stuff as well. So it's definitely worth the listen to. But hey, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us on another episode of the Royal Rebounds podcast. We appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to join us. Please don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we're going to be putting out fresh Kings content probably weekly for the time being until we get into training camp, preseason, all that fun stuff, and then we will be live after every single game. I'm also working right now to be posting some non-live clips just about significant moves that happen with the Kings and around the league, give you guys some more content to watch and pay attention to. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Basketball at the Bar. It's our other channel. It's all NBA coverage. We're live every single Wednesday night. And we post clips about all the fun things that are happening in the NBA. Calvin is posting a video tomorrow about the Suns owner and all the shit that he's in right now. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Calvin, awesome you're here. Thank you for returning. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me back. Thank you for not replacing me. I know you had a few options, so.
Anything you want to say to everybody out there?
Thank you for watching. Good to be back. I know I'm a little rusty, whether it was the Pistons or not, but I've still got my hair for now, and hopefully the Kings have a good enough year to make me cut it.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Go Kings and aloha.